So we are recording this session, and this will be shared with the Fulbright program advisors this upcoming Friday. And then from there, they'll be able to choose how to distribute this content to you. So don't worry if you don't get all the notes from what's going to be covered today. I think the most important thing is that you are getting familiar with sort of some general information about the program. And then more importantly, in the breakout room, connecting with your Fulbright program advisor or advisors on your campus. That way you know who the point of contact is, and you can find out from them what the next steps are going to be for you in this process. All right, so we always like to kick off these presentations by giving you some background information about the Fulbright program. The Fulbright program is the flagship educational and cultural exchange program of the U.S. government. It is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. And it's a program that has a very rich history. As you can see on the logo there on the right-hand side of the screen, this year we're celebrating our 75th year anniversary, and we are super excited about that. And there's a lot of content coming out online about that 75th year celebration. We even have a dedicated website to celebrate that anniversary. So very excited about that. Fulbright is a very large, complex, and dynamic program because we're working with over 160 different countries from around the world. And what you'll find out as you dig a little bit deeper into the opportunities is that every country has something different about it from its neighboring country or from countries across the world. And so it's really important that you make sure that your background, your areas of interest, your passions are aligning with that particular country and particular award type that you're looking to apply for. I do want to point out our mission. It's really important to always know the mission of the program that you're applying for, and really kind of link your interests and your passions with that mission. For the Fulbright program, we're looking for individuals that are going to be great cultural ambassadors. The mission is to foster mutual understanding between individuals here in the United States and individuals abroad. And the way that we accomplish that goal are through these exchange programs, are through specifically these two different types of engagements, be it a research study award or an English teaching assistantship, which I will talk a little bit more about later. Something else I want to point out, more sort of like the technical side of things that I failed to mention, is that we've made all of your Fulbright program advisors that just introduce themselves co-hosts. And what we'd like to do as far as questions are concerned, if they're coming in, if they come to mind and you'd like to ask them, what we ask is that you send a private message directly to your Fulbright program advisor. Again, they've labeled themselves, they've labeled the institution that they're coming from. You just heard them introduce themselves, and they should have FPA behind their name as well. So you know exactly who you're sending that private message to. So feel free to shoot them messages. They may choose to type in and answer them during the session, or they may hold your question, answer them during the breakout meeting. So just wanted to point that out. Please don't send a message to everyone. We have webinars and other platforms that we'll be using and utilizing later on during the application cycle, where you'll be able to interact with us more directly. But for the sake of this meeting, please send those messages privately to your Fulbright program advisors. Fulbright is administered here in the United States by the company that I work for and Samir works for, the Institute of International Education, and then overseas by what we call Fulbright commissions, where they have full-time staff that are working on behalf of the program. And then in those countries where we don't have full-time staff or those Fulbright commissions, we actually work with the U.S. Embassy in that country. So the second slide here, one of the cornerstones of the Fulbright program is a focus on diversity and inclusion. Basically, the point that I want to get across with this slide is that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your background is. We are interested in having you apply for this program and be a part of the Fulbright community. We understand that there is not one type of American or one type of American experience. And it's important that you're bringing your diversity, your identities to the table and sharing that abroad. So as I said before, the goal of the Fulbright program is to foster mutual understanding. We want individuals that are going to be going abroad and are interested in learning about a different culture, different people, and also sharing your culture, your slice of America with those individuals, and then bringing what you learned back here to the United States. So again, diversity and inclusion is a cornerstone of the Fulbright program. All right, so let's talk a little bit about eligibility. First, this being a State Department funded program, the first requirement is that you are a US citizen by the application deadline. We understand that some people may be going through that naturalization process. As long as you have your citizenship by the application deadline, you are welcome to participate. The second eligibility requirement is that you have a bachelor's degree or equivalent by the start of the grant. What most people end up doing, you guys are all enrolled at an Institute of Higher Ed. A lot of people start their application the tail end of their junior year, and then they're submitting it the first semester of their senior year. I know that there's some graduate students on here as well, so that timeline's a little bit different, but you already have the bachelor's degree, so you're already eligible for this program. The third point is that you can't have a PhD at the time of application. So what I like to tell people is that there's a lot of life that can elapse between getting your bachelor's degree and getting your PhD. And any time between those two life events, you are eligible to apply for the Fulbright US student program. Whether you are fresh out of college, a 20-year-old fresh out of college, and you're trying to decide what that next step is going to be for you post-graduation, or whether you are a little bit more seasoned, you have some years of experience, professional experience under your belt, but you don't have a PhD and you have an idea of something you'd like to do abroad, this too could be a great opportunity for you. And then, as I said before, we're working with over 160 different countries, as you see here. And so every country is going to have different expectations, different policies, different qualities that they're looking for in their applicants. And so be sure to take note of that. And I'll jump to the website here in a little bit to show you some more details about what some of these country summaries may look like. All right. So as I said, working with 160 different countries, each year we award about 2,200 awards. And what you're going to find is that there are two different flavors, two different award types that fall into the Fulbright US student universe. The first are what we call study research awards. And I like to look at these as sort of a build your own adventure award, right? You're telling us exactly where it is you want to go, why it is you want to go to that country, and why you're the ideal person to go to that country to do whatever project it is that you have in mind. So these take a lot of different forms under that study research umbrella. It could be independent research, where you have an idea for a field research project and you're looking at finding answers, finding solutions there in that host country. You may have worked on a junior thesis or senior thesis project, and you want to see what the international implications are of that research project. Well, Fulbright affords you an opportunity to be able to take those ideas and perform research abroad. Another path that you may walk down under this study research umbrella is to pursue a degree abroad. So you can earn a master's degree and be funded to earn a master's degree abroad through the Fulbright US student program. So perhaps you're really interested in sort of continuing your education. Fulbright can provide a way for you to be able to earn that degree while you're abroad, and that could be your Fulbright project. There are also projects that sort of fall under this sort of hybrid category, where you are maybe auditing courses at a university. You're not a degree-seeking student, but the courses that you're taking there are informing the research that you're doing while in country. So it's kind of a hybrid between both of those opportunities. And then that last category are for those that are interested in pursuing rather something in the creative and performing arts. So maybe you're a jazz musician, maybe you're a set designer or a dancer. Fulbright provides you with an opportunity to take the skills that you already have, apply those into an international context, and really kind of build on what you already know and the skills that you already have within that category. So there are about 950 of these awards. You're in country for 8 to 12 months, and you can see that there are about 140 different countries that offer the study research grant opportunity. I'll jump to the website here in a little bit to kind of show you what some of those opportunities look like and what are some of the countries that allow for study in that host country or degree-seeking students in that host country. The second type of awards that we offer are what we call English teaching assistantships. And this is really the fastest growing sector of the Fulbright program. I remember when I started years ago, there are only about 34 countries that were offering English teaching assistantships. And now in 2021, for the 22-23 application cycle, you see that there's over 75 different countries that are offering these opportunities. So essentially what we're looking for individuals that are going to go to that host country and help non-native English speakers learn the language, as well as learn more about US culture from your perspective. So you could be placed in sort of K through 12 for some countries. Other countries, the placements are at colleges or university setting. The thing to remember and sort of a difference between the study research grants and the English teaching assistantships is that with the study research grants, you're choosing exactly where you want to go. You're choosing the country and specifying exactly where in that country you want to do your project. With the English teaching assistantships, you're choosing the country you want to go to, but placements are actually being made by that host country, by that Fulbright Commission, by the US Embassy, of where you're ultimately going to be placed. So as I said, the institution type could vary, and the region within that country may vary as well. As you can see, about just over 1,200 of these awards. Again, you're in country for that 8 to 10 months, and then there are 75 different countries that are participating. So let me stop sharing for just a moment because I'd like to jump to the website and just show you a few resources that are really helpful in getting this process started. So let me share my screen. Okay, so you all should be seeing the website right now. With a raise of hands, who's seeing the website? Awesome. Try to make it as interactive as possible here, even though I'm talking at you. Okay, so this is our website. A few key things that I'd like to show you, some of my favorite places to go for information. First is going to be here under the About section. Within the About section, some really great resources are sort of embedded in the videos and tutorial section. These tutorials are a great way that you can get information about the program, an overview about the program in 15 minutes or less, right? So we have a general overview, study research opportunities, more details about the arts, as well as the English teaching assistantships. So if you don't remember anything else from this presentation outside of the contact information of your FPA, remember where to find these tutorials because it's a great way that you can sort of refresh your mind about the information that was presented. So that's a really great resource. Also within this section, you're going to see recorded webinars. We have recorded webinars from last application cycle, and these are a really great sort of more in-depth overview of the program. And for some of those, we go into specific topics that may be of interest to you. So definitely take some time to check those out. I also want to highlight within the applications in the types of awards, I want to take a look at, or I want you guys to take a look at some of the specific opportunities that exist under that study research umbrella. And I went to this because I want to first show individuals that are interested in a graduate degree, where you can go. So we have the countries listed here. We outline whether or not it's open to degree enrollment. And then this last category actually highlights what we call named awards. And these are awards where the Fulbright program has partnered either with a university or with a specific department at a university to offer a very specific type of award. So for example, in Australia, you see that there's an Ann Wexler Award that focuses on public policy. If that's what you're jazzed about and really interested in going to Australia, I highly recommend you look into that award. And as you scroll down, you're going to see more award types, again, for specific fields of study in specific departments, or just more generally at a specific university. And if you go to the country page, you can learn more about the opportunities that exist within that country. So what I'd like to do now is actually just jump to one of those country pages so you can get a sense of the types of awards that are out there. I do want to preface this by saying we haven't updated our website as the new application cycle, the 22-23 application cycle, hasn't opened yet. It'll open on March 31st. And so when you revisit the website, then you're going to see all new possibilities that are available in each country. But this is just an example of some of the opportunities that are available in Hungary. You'll see that there are these Open Study Research Awards. If you click on this, it gives you more detail about which degrees are accepted, how long you're in country, a little bit more information about the candidate profile, if a language proficiency is required, and then you'll see a list of a bunch of other information. Again, as I said, it's really important that you match your interests, your background, expertise with the host country that you're interested in going to and what they're looking for. So just wanted to share those resources with you about the website before we jump back to the presentation. All right, so I've talked to you here for 25 minutes and you don't even know what you get. So let's briefly talk a little bit about some of the award benefits. The first is round trip airfare. The second is a monthly stipend. And this is dependent upon where you're going. And it's based off the cost of living in that country. And it's typically about a graduate level of funding, a graduate student level of funding for the countries that you're going to. We also include for all grants, accident and sickness benefits. And then you can see a list of other possible benefits that may include language lessons. It could include tuition. In some cases, there is support for dependents, research allowance, enhancement activities, and then we provide disability-related accommodations, reasonable accommodations for those that need it. We definitely want everyone to not have any hurdles when it comes to applying for the program. So I recommend going to the country summaries page to read a little bit more about the benefits that are available for the specific country and program that you're interested in. Moving along here quickly, post-grant, I believe one of the sort of greatest benefits that's not stated here is that you become part of this elite, but not elitist network of scholars worldwide. So historically, the Fulbright program has had over 400,000 alumni. And so becoming a Fulbrighter, becoming part of this community allows you to tap into that network. And I know that there are apps that are available, the Fulbrighter app that helps you or allows you to be able to connect with Fulbrighters around the world. So you become part of this network. You also have access to State Department awards and opportunities that others don't. One of the sort of newer, like in the last 3 or 4 years, benefits of the program is that you're eligible for 12 months of non-competitive eligibility. You have NCE status in the hiring of federal jobs. So if you're trying to fast track into a job at the State Department or any of the other bureaus, this is a great resource or this is a great feather in your cap when it comes to the hiring process. And then 2 other benefits here, you also get the lifetime email address, and then you can become part of the Fulbright Association. So just a few of the benefits of becoming a Fulbrighter. Samir, if you could on the back end, I see a few people are waiting to be admitted. If you could just continue to let them in, definitely appreciate it. Okay, so we're still really early in the process. As I said, the application doesn't open until March 31st. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time digging into the details of these application components, but I did want to at least highlight them so you have an idea of what's in front of you. The first part of the application is going to be this basic personal data as well as program information. We have a few short answer questions that you're answering sort of right from the jump. You're providing an abstract, which is the who, what, where, when, how, why, of what it is that you're proposing to do. Again, this is a short answer question. But bear in mind that this is one of the first pieces of information that reviewers of your application are going to be seeing. And so first impressions, we all know how important those are. The same is true within an application. So this is where they're going to really get an idea of what you're proposing to do, where you're going, why you're doing it. And it's a super important part of your application. As I've sat in many review sessions and seen that as they're going through and refreshing their minds about who's applying for the program, they jump back to the abstract. So I'm spending a lot of time there just to reinforce the importance of making sure that that is a very clear, concise, and compelling short piece of work. Additionally, in this short answer questions, we have host country engagement. Remember the mission of the program, fostering mutual understanding. We're looking for cultural ambassadors. We're looking for people to really participate in people-to-people diplomacy. So we want to hear how you're connecting with the community of the host country, be it through athletics, if that's something that you're interested in. Now, I know we've had English teaching assistants that outside of their teaching, they were a debate coach. And so they were able to travel around the country to different debate competitions with their students. So host country engagement, it's really going to depend on what you're interested in doing, how you build community, and how you're looking at making that real connection between yourself and the community that you're living in. And then your future plans. We want to have a good sense of what your trajectory looks like post-Fulbright. We want to have a sense of how Fulbright fits into your larger plan for yourself. And so that's where you're going to take some time to explain that to us. And then really the heart of your application is going to be these next essays that I talk about. Both the statement of grant purpose. Again, this is a larger explanation of the who, what, where, when, how, and why. For research study awards, this is a maximum of 2 pages, which is not a lot of space. With a raise of hands, who this semester has written a paper longer than 2 pages? Right? I see those hands, right? That's not the challenge here. The challenge is creating a project or thinking about a project that is near and dear to your heart, but it's also important to the host country that you're going to. And really working to take the time to craft a proposal that at the end of the day, you're very proud of. So that statement of grant purpose, again, that who, what, where, when, how, and why, really kind of defining what your project is going to look like in that host country. There's also a statement of grant purpose for the English teaching assistants. This is where you're talking a bit more about your approach to teaching in the classroom. What are some of the methodologies that you're hoping to bring to the classroom? How are you hoping to engage the students and not only learning about the English language, but learning about US culture? Do you have ideas for games or for activities that you're going to be bringing into that environment that are really going to enrich the learning process? So, statement of grant purpose, that's the first essay. And then the second essay are what we call personal statement. And I like to look at these as it's an intellectual biography that's in narrative form, where the readers, the reviewers are really striving to get a better sense of who you are as a person, sort of what makes you tick, learning about your past, your family history, your things that you're passionate about, right? We really want to, with this personal statement, get a 360 perspective as to who you are as an individual, and then connect that with what it is that you're proposing to do and where it is that you're proposing to go. So, as I said before, these essays are really going to be the heart of the application. as we don't have an opportunity within the Fulbright program at this stage of the process to get to know you otherwise. We're not inviting you to any of our offices because all of our offices are closed. We're not, calling you up on the phone and having interviews with you because it's just too many people. These essays are really where you are able to talk about what it is that you want to do, why it is you want to do it, and why you're that ideal candidate to do what you're proposing to do. The next section are reports and references, foreign language evaluation. These aren't always required, but depending on the country, depending on what you're proposing to do in that host country, it may be required. What I like to say is that we're looking for language skills that are commensurate to what you're proposing to do in the host country. If your project involves talking to people in the local community and building those relationships, and maybe you're doing interviews, our expectation, if English isn't the predominant language spoken, our expectation is that you have a higher level of language proficiency in order to be effective in order for your project to be feasible in that host country. Whereas if you are teaching English in a country where that language may not be widely spoken here in the United States, and you don't have a novice or above level of language skills, what you may find in that country summary page is that the language isn't required. So this is a cultural exchange, and so very baseline, having basic communication skills, just kind of being able to navigate in the space is going to be important for, just to get around, but also to build relationships. But every country is going to be different, and so take a little bit of time to figure out what's required for that particular country. And then if language is required or encouraged or recommended, then you're going to be filling out language forms where you are evaluating your own skills, and then you're also having a language professional evaluate your skills. 3 references. What we're looking here are for references from people that know you well and can speak to how great of an individual you are. But just as importantly, we're looking for individuals that understand what it is that you're proposing to do in that host country and can speak about how and why you are the ideal candidate to go to that country to do that project. So with the Study Research Awards, these letters of reference are going to be physical letters that come from individuals that know you well, perhaps professors that can speak to your abilities, former supervisors that can speak to your ability to do that proposed project in the country. And then for English teaching assistants, you're actually going to have these referees fill out a form that has set questions about your ability to be that effective communicator and teacher in the classroom. The campus committee evaluation. I'm actually not going to go into a lot of detail here, as you should have an opportunity to talk with your FPAs during the breakout meetings about what that process looks like on their particular campus. Every campus is going to be a bit different, but what you should know is that this is an opportunity for you to be able to make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted on your application before submitting on at our deadline, at our national deadline. So this is meant to not be a hurdle for you, but it's meant to make sure that you are submitting your best work possible when it comes to the final national deadline that comes up in October. Transcripts, really quickly, what we're looking for is a complete academic record. If you went to community college or did a study abroad opportunity and that's not reflected on your current transcript, then you'll need to get those transcripts from those institutions. We're looking for a complete academic record. What I also like to point out on this point is that we aren't evaluating GPA. There is no minimum GPA for the Fulbright US student program. Huge sigh of relief, right? I know that I wasn't a straight A student personally. I was more kind of that B range, but I worked hard. And we understand at Fulbright, we understand that excellence is broadly defined, and it can't be summed down to just one's GPA. So we're looking for excellence in a lot of different areas. But I will say that if you're proposing to do a project in chemistry in a host country abroad, it would probably behoove you to make sure that your marks in chemistry are strong enough to justify that this is a feasible project. So as long as your grades are good in what it is that you're proposing to do abroad, then it won't raise any red flags on our end. And then the last 2 points that I'd like to make here. First, for those that are doing a research study award, we do require that you submit what we call a letter of affiliation or a letter of invitation, depending on how you want to look at it. For those that are looking at going to pursue a master's degree abroad, that letter of affiliation may be an acceptance letter to that institution. For those that are doing, let's say you're doing research in like historical archives, that letter of affiliation may come from that museum you're looking at working with or working at, from somebody there that says that they are going to grant you access to the archives that you need. They may give you a desk, a working space, and support you in those ways. So letter of affiliation, I like to look at it as a base camp in that host country. It could be an individual, it may be an organization, it could be a university. It's an entity that's going to give you access to whatever it is you need in order to successfully complete your project. And it's really going to hopefully speak to the feasibility of you being able to do what it is that you're setting up to do. And then for the art, we will be looking for supplementary materials. Basically, that prove that you do have the skill to do whatever it is you're proposing to do. And it's going to be in the form of a portfolio showcasing your talents. Okay, so just a couple more slides to get through here. I know I'm going through it quickly, and I apologize for that, but I did show you where you could get more information through the tutorial videos and the webinars. And you're gonna have a great resource in your FPA to talk to once we get into the breakout meetings. So some of the factors in selection here, we're obviously looking at the overall quality of the application. This should be very well written. It should be clear, concise, and compelling. What we're looking for are proposals that really kind of speak to who you are as a person. We're looking for the proposal to be, as I said, clear, concise, and compelling. So we have a strong sense of where it is you want to go, what it is you want to do, and why you're that ideal person to do it. Then we're also looking at the potential impact for this project. What is the multiplier effect? What is it that you're going to be able to not only contribute to that community abroad, but what are you going to bring back to your community here in the United States? And what value are you going to bring back? So we're looking at person, proposal, and potential. We're also looking at, I guess, what I call the 3 E's. Is your project engaging? Is it empowering? And is it educational? So we're looking at your academic, your professional record. I talked a little bit about that. Your personal qualifications. We're looking for individuals that are mature, individuals that are adaptable to new situations. Obviously, you're going to be in a country that you may or may not be familiar with, engaging with people that maybe have different perspectives than you do. We want to send people abroad that are going to be those great cultural ambassadors, that are flexible, adaptable, have strong communication skills, and have relevant experience. Language preparation, I spoke on that a little bit earlier. Preferences that can be found on our website that are established by the FFSB, which is a presidentially elected board of members that come up with all the policies surrounding the program. We want to know the extent to which you're going to help us advance the goals of diversity and inclusion within the program, and want you to highlight those things. And then requirements based off the individual countries that you're going to. I kind of already took some time to explain that. On the right-hand side here quickly, what you're going to see is the application timeline. So as I've said a couple times, the application for the 22-23 cycle has not opened yet. So you guys are actually early. You're early to the party here, which is awesome. So that application is going to open late March, early April. You'll be working with your Fulbright program advisor on designing your project, preparing your application. Come August, September, about a month or a few weeks before the national deadline, you will have that campus deadline. So more details to come during the breakout meetings on that. Our national deadline, as you notice, is set for Eastern Standard Time and 5 o'clock on the dot. We do not accept any applications after Tuesday, October 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's really important that you are working with your advisors to make sure that you're able to get your application in before that date and that time. Next, it's a two-phase review process for the Fulbright program. The first phase happens nationally here in the United States. It happened virtually last year because of COVID, but experts in the host country are reviewing your application. These are professors that are coming from universities across the United States. They're reviewing your application with other individuals that are going to that country that you're applying to and applying for the same type of award that you're applying for. So you're not competing against all the 10,000 people or so that apply for the Fulbright program. You're only competing against those that are going to that same country. So if you're wanting to do an English teaching assistantship in Brazil, for example, you may only be competing against 150, 200 some odd people, where if you're going to another country, you're only being evaluated and competing against the number of people that are applying for that type of award. So some countries, some programs may have 2 or 3 people nationally that are applying, while others have hundreds of people that are applying to that country for that specific award. So they're reviewing your application, they're making recommendations as to who should be a semifinalist and move on to the host country review, and who shouldn't make it to that level. I do want to encourage everyone that whether you make it through that first phase or not, in my books, you're already a winner because you've already committed to doing something, you've finished the process, and by going through the process, you're going to find that you learned a lot about yourself. And it's going to be helpful for you whether you decide to apply to graduate schools, jobs, whatever it may be. And so the process itself has value. And I know your advisors can talk a little bit more about that. So for those that, everyone will be notified in that December, January time period of whether you are recommended as a semifinalist or not. For those that are recommended, your application is going through another wave of review. So don't pack your bags quite yet until the host country has an opportunity to review your application. And all the countries are doing these on a rolling basis. Our goal at IIE is to make sure that notifications are made before April 12th. It was April 12th, April 15th, April 12th, somewhere around that time period, because we understand that that is a deadline for many graduate programs that are out there. So the process is long, as you can see. It does take time, it does take patience, but what we really stress and encourage you to do is take the necessary time for self-reflection, but also utilize the resources that you have on your campus. First being the Fulbright program advisor, and second being mentors that you may have in your department or otherwise there on your university campus. And last, I can't believe I made it. Last, we just have a resource page here where you can find more information about the Fulbright program. We're on all the social media channels, just like everybody else. I've already highlighted where you can find the webinars, but also you may want to jot down our contact information, which is fbstudent@iie.org, should you have any general questions that you want to touch base with us about. And then we've got some really great videos on our Vimeo page and on our YouTube page that we're really proud of. And it's a great way that you can hear from past grantees about their experience and be inspired, to kind of take on your own challenges and chart your own path within Fulbright. So, sort of in summary here, Fulbright program, the Fulbright U.S. Student Program, is an opportunity for you to go to a country of your choice, pursue a project that you're passionate about, all the while being funded to be in that country, doing that project, and being that cultural ambassador abroad. So if that resonates with you, I hope you take the time to look deeper into the program. So thank you so much for your time. What we're going to do right now is pause for just 30 seconds or so to make sure that we've sorted everybody in the proper rooms. For those that jumped on late, if you haven't done this already, please help us out by, on your video, clicking on the right-hand corner on the little ellipses, the 3 dots, clicking on there and renaming yourself and identifying your university. That way we know which group to, or which institution rather to place you in. So as that's happening on the back end, Samira, thank you for doing that. I did want to remind everyone that we have recorded this session and we will be sharing this information with your Fulbright program advisor. So you're able to get in touch with them should you want it or need it. Samira, where do we stand?
Yeah, most people have been assigned. There's about 4.
There's about what? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I can open the rooms now. Most people have been assigned at this time.
Great. So what is everybody about to see right now?
They're gonna see something on their screen asking them to join the room.
Perfect. And so before we do that, these breakout rooms, we're going to cap it at about 30 minutes. And so you will have plenty of time to get to know the FPA a little bit, get any questions that are unanswered, hopefully answered, and figure out what your next steps are going to be, whether that's a one-on-one meeting with your advisors, or perhaps joining their next information session. I do want to let you know that Samira is going to be hanging out back in the main lobby here. And so if you have any questions, sort of general questions, FPAs, if you want to send a student to ask that question or you want to pop back in to ask Samira, she will be available for some of those general questions. I need to step away to another meeting, and so I won't be around, but we do have time before the application opens to get those questions answered. fbstudent@iie.org is how you can reach us. And then I'll also in the chat, I will throw my contact information in case somebody wants to reach out to me directly. So with that, Samira, could you go ahead and open the breakout rooms?
I've opened the breakout rooms.
Thanks everyone for your time. And FPAs, remember you can record your breakout rooms yourself.